Welcome back to the Easy Hard versus Hard podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping you find the work that actually matters in your life. Today, I'm excited to welcome Bally Binning to the show. Bally is a coach based in the UK and has a very interesting story along her life and how she got into coaching, and then has some great insights, which she's going to share with us today. So Bally, welcome. Would you like to tell the audience a little bit about yourself before we get going?
Love to. Hi, Bobby. Yeah, I'm Bally Binning, as you said, and I'm a performance coach and AI educator, founder of Leaderize. I help mid-level leaders reclaim clarity and escape that performance trap.
Wonderful, wonderful. So how did you get into the performance coaching arena? What was your path to get there? Tell us a little bit about your backstory, because you've told me, and it's very interesting at your path. So share that with us, please.
What happened was at the age of 14, in the UK, we would get careers advice, right? Or they would ask you a question like, what do you want to do? It's that question. What do you want to do when you grow up? My answer was, I want to be a coach. And, I kept saying, I'm not academic, coach is the thing I want to do. And the reason the first thing that came to mind then at the age of 14 was because I played field hockey. And field hockey, I was passionate about it. I was a captain. I was doing really well. I was sporty, and it just felt like the direction to be going. And I could see I'd be kind of very good at supporting others because that's what I loved, right? It was my passion. And it didn't happen then. In fact, it didn't start at that stage, because that type of coaching, what I do today, is very different. The way it looks today isn't how I thought it would be when I was 14, because I didn't take that path of coaching. There was the type of coaching that, we have available today. That wasn't around. So I followed a different path. That's what I ended up doing.
Yeah. And so you like, I know from sharing with me, you started a business and you lived, you're based in the UK now, but you lived in Germany for a while. Talk about that path and then how that brought you back to coaching, if you would.
Yeah. So what happened was I'd spent some years in Germany, and I came back to the UK, and I remember, in fact, I came back and it was around the time when they had those last Concorde flights. And I remember standing there on Putney High Street, looking up, watching that last Concorde flight coming in from New York, and my heart sank. And I had that feeling in my stomach going, what am I doing? And it was just so profound, because I felt lost, and I'd been doing these various teaching roles. I felt really stuck. I was in that kind of rut of thinking, well, I'll come back to the UK. It would be easy. I'd kind of get into work. I'd been doing really well out there, and it was the toughest time of my life. And it was really tough. It felt like I had to make some decisions on what I was going to do next. And I'd been commuting kind of hours. I was just running around. I was like a headless chicken, basically, not knowing what to do next, and just didn't have the support. And then I decided to take a slightly different path at that stage.
Amazing. The whole easy hard versus hard theory was created because I find myself much like you at the bottom. What am I doing? Working a lot of hours, I guess externally very successful. Would you say that was kind of what brought you back to coaching? Just kind of that empty feeling, or this feeling like, I don't know what I want to do. And then you didn't want anyone else to be, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you didn't want anyone else to be in that same situation. What was the thought there to bring you back into coaching?
Yeah. So what ended up happening was I went backwards and forwards saying, well, what is it that I want to do? And I ended up running my own events business, thinking, this is what I want to do. I'm highly driven, and I couldn't see kind of the path, the direction in teaching, because it was, it wasn't paid well. And so I decided that, I started researching, and it was one of those just, conversations during Sunday breakfast in the kitchen, pen and paper, saying, okay, what's the thing I want to do? And the idea that emerged was, I want to set up an events business. And it became, okay, so what is it I struggled with when I came to, and so I always ask that question, what is it that I struggle with and how can I help other people? And so the idea emerged that actually when I came back to the UK, connecting with people and, finding friends was really hard, because either they were settled or they were doing, they had their social networks, and I'm now returning to a new place. And so I set up a company called Events and Friends, with the premise of bringing people together through cooking events, wine tasting, and we did House of Commons and Lords tours and things like that. And so there were highly bespoke events, and ran events for for Nestle, in fact, and Michael Page. So it was a recruitment company. So I was doing really well, but I had this feeling that it wasn't fulfilling, and I just felt like I was working crazy hours. I'd got myself from doing these ridiculous headless in the chicken, not like headless chicken, walking around going, oh, what am I doing now? Like really like plateful, overfull with events, not having any support, and just continuing this cycle of like, okay, it didn't, I thought it was going to give me that fulfillment I wanted, and it didn't. And it actually felt the loneliest time ever, because, I was throwing a lot of money into building websites. It's not like what you can do now. And I felt really lost. I didn't have the support network. It felt lonely. And I sat, and then I remember, when the interactive website, because it's an online, offline events and Friends was, and I felt this like feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this on my own. I have no life. I'm isolated. I'm creating an Events and Friends. It's all about bringing people together, which I'm good at doing, but I wasn't actually really thinking about myself. And so that was the hardest bit. And then thinking I would not want that for anyone. And I jumped into academia thinking, oh, there's going to be a safety net there. And there wasn't. There just wasn't.
Wow. That's so, I mean, your story is more interesting than any other coach I've ever talked to, because you identified the need to want to help and coach others at 14, which I find just super amazing, because most coaches, obviously you kind of get to the rock bottom like you did, get yourself out of it. It's certainly like I did as well. I'm not just saying you're the only one that's hit rock bottom. Certainly there's more of us, but you kind of went back. And the whole easy hard versus hard theory would say that your hard is coaching, because that's what you wanted to do. But then society and jobs and responsibilities to be an adult kind of stood in the way for that, because like you said, it wasn't as developed as it is certainly today. It's very interesting that like that path took you along, so you got to experience a couple easy hards around the way. I mean, you worked really hard at being academia, and then your events business. And the events business is really interesting too, because you were like wanting to help people, but at the same time you weren't helping yourself. And I kind of wonder, was that more of a fact because it's not what you truly wanted to do? You wanted to be this coach, or, it's just taking care of the needs of others, which is also part of my theory that the more we are concerned with others and not take the healthy amount of self-love, self-care, self-compassion, again, everything in the self-leadership theory. Do you have any thoughts on that, or am I off base? Does that sound kind of?
What comes to mind for me is like, I go beyond. It's like, for me, wanted to live, it's, doing things small doesn't really work in my vernacular. It's like, I'm going to do it. Like, if I want to do it, I'm going to do it properly. And so when there is the slight paradoxical thing, and that is, it felt like I need to do it on my own. And I just didn't know how to ask for help. So was it that I wanted to help people connect? That's always been part and parcel of what I wanted to do, right? Get people to connect. And the way I was going about it wasn't the way that, that we read about now. It was just like, that there was things that I was completely missing, right? So I wasn't able to check in or check, was this the right trajectory? Was this the right way of doing things? And so led emotionally. And so that was that was what was coming up for me. And then, although the group part was, bringing people together, having someone else to talk over those difficult conversations, that was missing, or even knowing how to start, like having those conversations.
It's so interesting how high performers and high achievers like yourself, how often they, and again, myself, I can put myself in the same category as well. You want to go at it alone. Like you don't want to burden someone else with, I guess what we say, maybe our problems or our issues. Do you have any thoughts on the why that might be, and then why that kind of even takes us deeper into these, I guess, these situations where we're more harmful for ourselves and therefore more harmful for others because we can't show up every day in the presence that we need to be at?
Yeah, the thing is, when you're driven, there is that, and I have to remind myself, am I judging people if I'm not allowing them to do something and allowing them the opportunity? Now I see it in a totally different way as to what I would have seen it back then. It's this thing of, it's very harmful actually to think that you have to do things on your own, and it's upbringing, acceptance, maybe, who are you, those conversations, and learning actually to be open, to be able to allow people to also flourish, because that's what people ultimately want to do. And that's hence why I got into coaching and really understanding what was holding me back and what was I missing that I couldn't see. And I still ask myself that question: what's the thing I'm not seeing, and what is it? How do I bring people on? And that's my question of like, okay, letting go. it's like, let people do what they're good at, right? I don't need to do everything, and so that's something. So that control bit comes through, and something I've worked on.
Yeah, myself too. If we could figure out the why we do this to ourselves, we could maybe solve a lot of the world's problems. It is so interesting, and from the vast amount of people I've talked to in the leadership space, coaching space, really the light bulb comes on for everyone when they find out you can't do it alone. We hear all the time, it takes a village, or Who Not How, the popular book by Dan Sullivan, but until you experience it, I don't think you can truly understand it. Are you seeing that in some of the clients that you coach and people that you talk to? They know what to do. They're either just, they can't see it at the moment, or they maybe even have a little self-doubt, self-fear to go and ask for the help they need?
Absolutely. They go into new environments, new things emerge. They think they have to figure things out on their own, and that they just they work those long hours, which I got into that trap of working long hours, not asking, thinking and asking is a sign of like you just don't know it. And now I totally I totally see it different. Of course, that's come through the training, and that's come through having these conversations, and there's so much more out there now. It's okay not to know. There's a lot of pressure to have the right answers. Schooling kind of goes through, if you don't know, that internal voice of, well, how am I going to look? What are people going to think of me if I don't have it kind of all figured out? And so I'm seeing people having those conversations, certainly around boardrooms in discussion. And if you move company, or there's pressure to perform, and you're leading individuals. So it's like, what do I tell my team? Which bits do I reveal about myself, and how much of that? And what will that say about me? All those conversations that, so not, learning to be transparent and saying, okay, we're in it together.
Yeah, it's such a breakthrough, and I'm so glad that you found it. Do you find that now that now that you're building this coaching business and you're doing this AI training, which we'll talk about in a bit, but the it sounds to me that this is truly what you want to be doing. Do you find now that you're in that space that it's easier to ask for help, easier to build a team around you to support you than it was in your earlier career?
It's something I'm working on. Is it easier? Yes, because I'm actually okay, saying I don't know. I am, I have no problem with that. I don't know. And that's something I definitely find much easier. That's come through years of being kind of like the one that thought I knew, needed to know. And yeah, I mean, in hindsight, people kind of listening into this, they may say, well, actually, doesn't that take experience and knowing? It does, but often I see people still continuously do the same thing. So there's a lot of reflection, and that comes through a lot of the coaching that, we have coaches in the PCU community that, I'm grateful for, and the individuals that I know that I can ask. And I'm also mindful of who I'm asking, not to ask and then just ask for the sake of asking. That's not the way it gets done. It's be mindful of like who those individuals are, and what is it that I'm asking them for, because you're going to get so many different opinions, certainly when you're running a business. And I hear this a lot. Well, they said, let's do that. So they've got, a plethora of options, and then that paralyzes people. They don't take action. Often that can come about. So there's so many different layers, and this is a fascinating space to be in. And I absolutely love working with individuals going through some of those conversations, because it's having those conversations and having other people in that space and that can really challenge you. And it's important to have that status quo challenged. I'm a true believer of that.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point about asking the right person the right question, because I often use the analogy, if you want to be a baker and you spend all your time in an auto body shop, you can ask all the questions you want, but it's not at the right place and to the right person. So I do find that that's one of the real key tenets to going after and improving yourself or learning new things, is to make sure you surround. And then also some work has to be done as well on your end, because you don't want to go in and just have someone give you all the answers, because, do your part and then help them fill in the hole. So I do find that as part of my journey, and something I had to get out of, because I never wanted to ask a question to anybody. And, if I could pick up a phone and call another coach or something that's seen something similar, I can take something that would take me hours into minutes and make it both efficient for myself, but then also allow me to then spend my bandwidth, my mental cognitive abilities on something else to help someone with the problem. So I do think that getting your community, and I will say that the PCU that she mentioned is Performance Coaching University, and that's where I met Bally, which is a training program for people who do want to get performance coach certified, and then also set you up for the ICF. What does that stand for? Help me out, Bally. International Coaching Federation. Am I right?
That's right, International Coaching Federation. That's the one.
Yeah. So for those of you, if you're interested in that, check out Performance Coaching. I could put the link in the bio. But we both went through that school, and I think Bally's more advanced to me in her training than at her level. But this is so where do you feel from? I think like a well-being satisfaction now that you're in this new arena. Do you find yourself happier? Are you more content?
Absolutely. Being a coach, absolutely. As you mentioned, being part of that community makes a huge difference. Whether we're there, I've been there a lot longer, veteran in that space. But I learn all the time, and these are the conversations that I have with when I work with clients, that I learn as much from them as they and I feel honored, and it's a privilege to be around leaders who are going through having those conversations, whether it's integrating various tools. And it is because there's so many different options. It's the ones that work and what's the ones that support us, right? Because once we have so much available, it becomes, again, it's that overwhelm. What do we pick? What do we decide on? That type of thing.
Yeah. There's so many options out there now, especially the whole self-help coaching therapy. It's exploded in my lifetime for sure. I'm convinced, and again, it's my theory, so I'm a little biased towards it. I'll just tell everyone that once you find what you truly want to do, which I from talking to you this little bit, I know you have, all that noise, all those questions that you used to ask yourself. Again, I don't know if you're the same as me, but once I started finding what I wanted to do, all the self-doubt, all the noise, the things that didn't matter, all dimmed. And now all of my focus, my energy, it seems like I'm able to work less, but because I'm not worrying about other things, where I've built a support channel where I can reach out to people for the first time in my life, it seems to dim. Are you finding anything similar to that?
Absolutely. Once you find what you're truly passionate about, and I really believe this, when you find what you're truly passionate about, you know where to put your energy. As soon as you know where to put the energy, and then understand the other things can be taken care of by other people, knowing how to articulate that, it's a complete game changer in this space, because there's only so much we can do as one person. So yeah, I'm with you on that. And it means that once and that you read around that subject, we're both advocate readers, right? We share what we're reading, that type of thing. And then we're able to support clients much more, because they we can give them, it's like giving someone a tool. And unless you know the tool, you understand it, how to apply the tool, and then you've got someone holding you accountable, and then you're measuring how that's being used. You just like it, it when you've had it. When I didn't have that when I was running my events, because there's no one offering that support, I was trying to do it without having proper tracking, none of knowing which tool. You just then dip and then test things, and that is. And that requires a lot of years. So, you can save years by working with coaches, and that's what I would have been able to have that myself. But now being able to offer that to others is hugely impactful for them. But it's like I said, it's an honor. It's it's what I do, and that's what I'm about. Because that's how I show up.
Yeah. That whole time management, efficiency of effort, it's so talked about, but I think the missing element is so many people talk about how they're doing the work and not what work they're doing. And you're true. Once you find your passion, your drive, however you want to define it, in my case, the hard, it truly is amazing. And I tell people this all the time. If I could give you a pill or put it in a bottle and you could just drink it and see what I'm talking about, but giving yourself that permission to go out there and explore that. I'm sure leaving your events, leaving academia to become a coach, it was scary, but then at the same time, I'm sure the clarity and and that's what gives you probably the drive to keep going, right? Because it's not easy. Yeah, as you and I both know, like building something from that you haven't been a part of, and trying to get into that community space is difficult. But that want to, or the passion, the work that means something to you, the work that means everything to you, I think just helps you out a lot. Do you have any more perspectives on that?
Yeah, the things that, as you said, it's not going to be. It's definitely not easy, because people will go, oh yeah, it's easy for you, and it's not. And that's hence the reason why when you invited me to join, I thought, actually, yeah, this aligns, because I get it. Like easy, hard. I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally get that. First and foremost, what a great title. It really hits. Right? It's like one of those. It really hits, and I'm like, gosh, it isn't easy, and that's hence if you can reach out, and that's the key thing. And then what I've been able to do is, with the experience, I've also noticed, and I'm very mindful, because I've got one of those brains that if I know something's been really hard and I've worked damn hard at it, I know it's going to be really hard for other people as well. And so once you're able to think, okay, if you found that hard, it took you that long, how can I make it shorter for other people? How can I make it so that it could be consumed in a way, it can help them shorten that gap basically from where they are. And having that support, I know that would have made a difference for me, and it would have saved years. It would have saved financially. It would have been we would have been having a different conversation for sure. And I know that I would have been, we can always say we'd be further down than we ought to. And that's always something, thinking, like I could be here, but I know that that's my mind sort of like playing tricks with me. I know exactly I'm here and I'm in the right space and I'm there for people.
Oh, that's so cool. And I think more people need to realize, I mean, I don't want to put you in my category here, but I'm just a normal person. I haven't done anything extraordinary. And it's easy to look at some of the key coaches in the industry today, and they say these things and people are like, oh, well, they've got it figured out. They've got this audience. They're selling out auditoriums to talk on a regular basis. The point for everyone that's listening, you can do this too. I've done it. Bally's done it. We know a lot of people that have done it. It's just finding the right work and then finding, like you said, Bally, the right support system to help you get through it. And because you do need encouragement, inspiration from others, which I think that's why I like this grassroots kind of coaching effort, is because we are just people who are walking around, you in the UK, me in Virginia, we're living our lives. You're not going to turn the TV on and see either one of us unless you have this on the YouTube, right? Maybe, but it's so beautiful that you found this. And now our passion is to help other people find it for themselves. And I definitely applaud your journey, and thank you for sharing it. Unless you have anything else to talk about this, I do want to briefly talk about, because you brought it up about efficiencies and skills. I'd like you to introduce to everyone what you're doing for AI, and then maybe, because I know you offer some resources there that they could, even further this outside of coaching and getting your human support element, use the tools that are available today through technology.
That we have so many, as I mentioned, we have so many different ways of doing things. So it's more kind of tactics, right? We know that, we can pick this tool, it's tactical things that are available. So what I ended up doing like 2.5, 3 years ago, I really kind of caught sense that it was taking me a long time. So as I was saying earlier, what is it that's really hard? How can I make it like easy in a way that, and AI was the thing that I got really into. And so became part of a mastermind. I continue in this journey learning. So I spent many hours, as we do, Bobby, you and I have been spending hours, not only in the coaching, the reading, the AI space became something that I immerse myself into. And when I do something, like I said, I really immerse myself. I can, I'm able to do that. And that's, and by doing that, I've been able to create a community and offer AI bi-weekly sessions. And what that means is that when you have so many tools available, well, what do you pick? Well, you can know I always say training component is the bit you're able to understand. There's someone that shows you what's possible. And so the coaching component is ensuring that you're guided through with using the tools that are going to support your leadership. So actually merging those and infusing those, I've been able to support individuals. So I run these bi-weekly AI sessions, which run on Wednesdays, every other Wednesday. And they run at 11 a.m. Eastern and 4 p.m. UK. And it allows people to look at what's actually happening in this space. How are people utilizing these tools? And how do they still stay human in this whole space of the AI? And being a coach, understanding the importance of voice, understanding the points of communication, being able to use the tools, but able to then empower them to use the tools for themselves, to understand what they are, and then support their teams, is completely the way forward. Because you don't want to be around a table where you have no understanding of what's going on in this space.
Is this training open? Is it mainly I guess configured for coaching, or can anyone take advantage of this in any walk of life or any profession?
Yeah, it's for leaders, those who are, discerning. So these are leaders, and I do have a few coaches in that leading their own business, and so and actually aware that if they don't take action, there's this thing of like, is that noise happening out there? It's not going to impact me. So people are kind of still looking internally, going, well, where do we position people? A lot of these jobs are going to be lost, and so, as leaders, we've got some really hard choices to make. We talked a little bit about how do we get support, who do we call in. Now, leaders asking question, which tools can I use that will support my leadership? So, as a leader, if you're not open and understanding what's available, then you'll be, you could actually monetarily, you could be saving the company money, but also you'll be ahead of the curve, right? Because other people will still be doing things the old way, and we're still seeing that. And I'm seeing people still doing stuff the very old and making it really hard when it doesn't need to be hard. And AI's here, and and these are free. These are free training for leaders who are ready to step up and learn in a community and ask questions. We spoke about community and bringing people together, and this is a safe community. And doesn't matter where you are in that space, you can come and join us. Love to see you there.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure we get the link in this. So those of you who are interested, and I think you bring up a very good point about AI, and then also about, finding your hard work. I'm going to make a correlation here. Once you can start using AI to expedite all the menial or the administrative tasks that you've got, you can really open yourself and others, I think, to doing the work they really want to do. And I know there's a lot of talk that there's going to be a lot of job replacement for AI. And of course, I don't know. If I had a crystal ball, we wouldn't be here, right? We would have won the lottery and been on a beach or something somewhere. But I think more than that, if you don't think about it as replacing jobs, I like to think about it from my leader perspective, is it's going to allow me in the future to allow the people that work for me or work with me to go after what they truly want to do. And there are people who love to do paperwork, but most people don't. And if you could take that duty out of them, if you could even take away 20% of their time to go focus on something else, just imagine the innovation and I just think everyone could walk around being I think well-being for everyone would just be boosted, because we've got these tools that can help us, so then we can go focus on what we want to do. And maybe we can have shorter work weeks and give people more back free time or whatever. Do you have any thoughts on that, or am I off base? You can disagree with me. It's okay.
Well, one thing I would disagree with you, even if you and I have driven UI in this space, Bobby, I would say, even if you won the lottery, I know that you'd still be doing what you're doing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And that came to mind. I was like, you still be doing what you're doing, because that you'd get bored of and you might say, no, I can sit on the beach for a while. I mean, you'll be right. You'll be doing your stuff. So yeah, and if they, your question, it's sort of like in terms of if they some of those jobs, and to give you time, because if you're using tools, you still need thinking time. And if you can step away and allow the tools to do the work, and then takes time out and put the energy, which is going to be better, it will better serve you. It will better serve you, as opposed to kind of like being around doing those hours, which years ago when I had the event business, I was doing in the evenings doing all the writing. A lot of that can be done by AI, which it would have saved me time. Then I would have had that balance there, that to have that balance and have and create yourself that space as leaders. And it may not be 4 days, you might, but it will definitely give you time to spend time with those in your team, have those open conversations. And by doing that, allow AI to do the things that that's good at. And bringing human in the loop will continue. We'll still need your expertise as leaders, for sure.
Yeah. Bringing that community is very important. I heard on a Mike Rowe, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's Dirty Jobs guy. He's got a great podcast, and he had an AI expert on one time, and the person was saying something like 95% of all the information we know is now available to us. And, as coaches and as leaders, like, what are you going to do with that information? Because the learning curve is gotten so much steeper. And if you go to the fire hose of AI and you start pulling this information, like, what are you going to do with it? So I think, what you're doing and training people on how to use it for them, because like you said, AI can create a lot more noise for you, or it can reduce the noise, which is a dichotomy, but it's a very interesting time for us as humans because, like I said, we've got this. And so I encourage everyone to tap in and follow. I need to attend those too, 11 a.m. Eastern, but we'll try to, I'll try to hit one of them too, because I am interested in AI. I'm probably nowhere near as advanced. And then again, build your own communities. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people in everyone's area that's using AI. And I have a friend, and we meet probably once a month, and we spend the whole time just playing around in AI, and he runs his models, I run mine, and we just see what it creates. And I tell you, it opens your mind to so many possibilities you never thought. And that's the beauty to self-development. And then imagine if you can apply that to the thing you want to do, and you get that innovative spark. So anyways, give me some closing thoughts. I'm talking outside of an element here, but and by the way, you're absolutely right. I would sit on the beach for a couple hours and then probably go inside and do something else. You're right. You got me.
Yeah. The thing, there's the interesting thing is we can go down a rabbit hole when it comes to AI too, right?
Yeah.
So anything we do, we can go in any direction, and and unless we know what it is, and that's where the magic of coaching comes in, is understanding where and what, where your passion lies. What is it that really drives individuals to show up each day? Because no AI tool is going to get you up, and that inner drive, that real kind of motivation, people that come and do this, they are motivated and they get inspired by how other people are using these tools. And then that opens up their way of applying how they can use it in creating their own voice bots, because, you've got to learn to be able to feed it and speak the language too. I don't need sort of coding, programming knowledge. You just need to be able to know how to utilize the tools, that the capabilities are there. And most people are using it very surface level. We're all going to be generalists in this space if we're, because most people will just do it. As you said, most of those jobs, knowledge is available at a touch. So how will you stay in this space still and, become the leader that's driving change, as opposed to being, I always say, are you going to be in the driving seat, or are you being kind of the one sort of lagging behind going, well, I wish I had, wish I'd taken action then, or, I'm falling far, conversations I have with people, I'm falling behind. Interesting, I had a conversation with a lady just a few days ago. She said, I wish I started sooner. I said, the best time is now. We always have that conversation, they say, what was the best time to start? Well, yesterday, but now, to get started.
Yeah. You're here today, so do something about it. And that's what every coach will tell you. Action. I mean, you'll hear 10x, 2x, you'll hear all these, I don't know, motivators or whatever, but remember, 10x of 0 is 0. 2x of 0 is 0. So do something. And now is the time to learn it, and you're not behind the curve yet. And the beautiful thing about AI, like you said, you can tailor it to you. Whereas right now, before, if you went to Google and you type something in, Google directs you to where it wants to go, or who's paid, or who gets the most hits. Now you can really take this. You can even take your own writing, your own works, and then scale it around that. Say, hey, I want to hear what Bobby thinks or Bally thinks, and which sources of ours that you want to pull from. I mean, it's just such a great opportunity to expand. And I'm excited about AI. I know there's a lot of pessimists out there, but I think it's going to help people if they tap into it and they go into there with the right mindset. It's going to help you expand your hard and just do wonderful things. So I applaud you for setting this up and sharing your knowledge to people and building this community. It's really fantastic. So I hope people will take advantage of it. All right. Anything else you want to cover today? I mean, this has been fantastic, but I want to be cognizant of your time and anything else you want to say in closing to wrap it up?
anyone listening in, Bobby, what you're bringing and having those conversations about easy, hard, easy, hard, hard, hard. I absolutely, applaud you. This would not be my, this would not be something I'd be doing, right? Setting up a podcast. So, and that's the appreciate you for doing that, because and that's where we understand what we're capable and what we can do, right? Where our strengths are. And I always say to people, lean into that and really lean into what you're able to do. And so I hear people saying, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll go and do a podcast. I'm like, do what you're good at and what you want to do.
I guess it remains to see if I'm good at this or not, but hey, I'm doing it. And again, you'll never know if you're good at something until you do it. And I completely agree with you. And that's my whole message. If you think it, I heard a pastor one time that says, God doesn't put something in your head unless he wants you to do it. And if you think about it, go try it, because you might like it and you're not going to be good at it the first time. You might not be good at it the 100th time. I wrote this week in my newsletter, I hear people say, I've tried everything. Have you? Maybe you have tried everything, but did you try it long enough? Who knows if you're one podcast away, one writing away for the breakthrough. Look at James Clear, Atomic Habits. We're bookworms, so I'm sure most people know him. I mean, look at his story. I mean, just years and years and years of dedication. And it took one person to get him on one interview. And now he's the #1 best-selling author in the nonfiction space in the world right now. And that was after years and years and years of working. And I'm sure he said he tried everything too. And then look, boom, there it is. So fantastic talk today, Bally. I do appreciate everything you're doing and what you're bringing and your story, because like I said before, normal people, not saying you're normal because you're well driven and all that, but just people, anyone can change. And you've got to first recognize it, like Bally did. Those of you familiar with my story know I recognize it. Go out there and don't be scared. Surround yourself with the right people. Bally's certainly there to help. Myself, we'll put all of our contact information, like I said, in the show notes. Please reach out to us. We're both here because neither one of us want anyone to be where we were, and there is hope. So, Bally, thank you. I will close. I ask all my guests this. Well, you're my second guest, so we're starting a trend here. But what would you say is your hard right now?
My hard is how do I'm in this space and I'm driven. There's always that kind of safety net of academia, right? I think I spoke about that, where I slipped into that, and it's like, how do I make sure that I don't slip back into that? And I continue my hard journey, making, continue my journey and continue on this path of offering AI to leaders and help them in this space and move forward, because easy isn't the way forward for me anyway. So it's a constant reminder, and it is going to be hard. And I'm ready for that, and I'm ready to bring on more of that to support others, and, being mindful of that, because that other voice will pop up sometimes saying, hey, you could go and do that still. And it's like, no. This is why I'm here. And it's that constant reminder of saying, that's why I'm here to serve those leaders who are ready to step up.
Wow. That is well said, and a definite hard. And I wish you all the best in that, and know that I'm here to support you, and everyone listening. Let's support each other. Let's encourage people to stay in their hard, because like Bally said, it's so easy to slip into your easy hard. And once you do that, it's so hard to pull yourself out, because easy hards will just always be there. And Bally, thank you so much for your time today. This has been fantastic. Like I said, we'll put all your contact information in the show notes, but go ahead and tell everyone where they can get you, because some people won't read the show notes. So go ahead and promote yourself a little bit, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I'm Bally Binning. Thank you, Bobby. Bally Binning, and you can coach you. You can reach me via LinkedIn or reach me by so coach@ballybinning.com. So I'll repeat, coach@ballybinning.com. And thank you, Bobby, once again. This has
Awesome.
been so much fun.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, and thanks everyone for listening. And yeah, have a wonderful day, everyone. And until next time, keep chasing your hard work. Find the work that actually matters to you.